This is a fearful time for women in Afghanistan, but can you tell us what's happened over the last 20 years? Has the status of women improved at all?
There are many who would be very cynical about that and would point out that, for instance, in the current Gender Inequality Index, Afghanistan ranks 169 out of 189 countries, so it's still pretty low. But there have been limited gains which have been made in the last 20 years, and I'm going to explain later on why this is so important, and primarily it's education. In 2019, more than 9 million children were in school, of which nearly 40% were girls. We've also seen in the last 20 years or so women graduating from medical school, from engineering schools and other high-level professional courses. We've seen the establishment of the Afghanistan Girls Robotics Team, of course, which has since been evacuated to Mexico, and more women have been enrolling in universities. So the literacy rate among women and girls has just soared by contrast to how it used to be. And also, we've seen the introduction in 2009 of the Elimination of Violence Against Women law, which was to basically, or rather led to an increase in reporting and investigation of violent crimes against Afghan women. Of course, many would say very little was done to ensure that that law was followed through, but there has been some limited success with that. But, I think at the end of the day is, what do the Afghan people want? And there was a poll back in February, according to Bloomberg, where people were asked about what would be an acceptable condition for a peace deal, and just 11% of Afghan adults said they wanted to go back to a Taliban-like existence where girls were banned from school and women had to stay at home. Only 11%.
It's not clear if women's rights groups will be able to continue their work. So what's being done to protect the rights of Afghan women and girls?
It's an important question, but not an easy one to answer, that's for sure, Monty. I mean, firstly, both of us in the news media world and in the world in general, we all tend to suffer from what I call short-term memory loss when it comes to news stories. And no doubt, in a month from now, will the plight of women and girls in Afghanistan still be making headlines? So therefore, the pressure has to be kept on the Taliban. And, are we talking about possible future sanctions linked specifically to the protection of rights of women and girls? I mean, some have argued that the West, or rather the international community, should not be too hasty in implementing those sanctions, that they should be used as leverage as such. But then there's resistance. And that's what I was talking about in the previous answer. And that is those women and girls who've now been educated. They are strong women, women who we know are determined, as one told us, to be a stone in the shoe of the Taliban, both in Afghanistan and abroad. And we spoke to one human rights activist who successfully managed to escape to France in the last few days, and this is what she told us when we asked her that question.
We need the attention of international community, to United Nations, to at least negotiate with them. Do not leave Afghanistan alone in this situation. We are going to advocate for those people when I arrive in a secure place. So this is my mission, and I believe this is my duty to advocate, especially for women and the people who are still there in the risk.
So again, progress has been made in the last 20 years, but we'll have to see what happens now that the Taliban is in control.
Absolutely. But, watch this space in terms of those young women who, as you will see in our show, some of whom we managed to miraculously interview in Kabul by Catherine Norris-Trent, and they're determined to not go out without a fight, basically.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Annette. And that special edition